Here's another game of the Object 430 in 9.3 test iteration 1. As I record this, test iteration 2 is out, but I haven't played it yet. I just had a couple more replays to finish recording before I tried it. Anyway, I decided one match wasn't really enough to show how this tank had changed, so here's another one I had quite recently. Now this time it's not so many light tanks, it's mostly the kind of mix you would see on a normal run of the test server, about equal proportions of heavies and mediums and arty, and then a bunch of big tier 10 TDs. This is also similar to what you would typically get in a tier 10 match on the NA server, except usually you would have a couple less arty. Most of the time on NA you rarely see more than 2 arty on a team anymore. So I do my usual thing, head out to the village here, get into this bush so I can spot anything coming up across the field and get quick shots in. Just a reminder, the 430 does have the best camera of any tier 10 in the game, but the 121 does like me, so I take one shot and back off. T54 Lightweight comes up to join us. He does actually pen. If we have a look where he hit, right on top of the turret. I'm actually surprised that didn't bounce, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't hit very hard. So I get kind of careless here. A mixture of bad connection and bad life decisions caused me to charge into a pair of tier 10 mediums and a tier 8 light tank. But I get a little help from my team, and a lot of help from the 430's excellent armor layout, and so I'm able to survive doing it. I'm holding my shot here because I knew that would have been an auto bounce. It may have critted his track, but it wouldn't have panned, so I waited for a shot on the front. Unfortunately, my shot on the front was also badly aimed and ended up bouncing. With the mediums dealt with, I charge out in the field to clean up the lights, and only then do I notice the Foch looking at me. Thankfully, he appears to have shot 2 of his 3 rounds already, because he starts backing off, and our arty deals with him. The enemy arty goes for a shotgun and misses. And at this point it's just cleanup time. We have established map control pretty comfortably, and I still have a decent amount of hit points left. 2/3 of my health, that's quite a sufficient amount to go around stomping on whatever's left. So just a reminder of the changes made to the 430. Its accuracy on the move was very slightly improved. Its standing accuracy was slightly worsened. And its DPM was raised, so it's now the highest DPM out of all the Soviet mediums at tier 10. It's just shy of 3,000 with not a rammer. Without a rammer, sorry, I just woke up. But with my equipment set up and crew, it's exactly 3,000 DPM, which is pretty good. And being a heavily armoured, fast tank, it can apply that DPM quite easily. Now here's something fun, and this would only happen with other NA players, of course. Our Batchat arty decides to go shotgun mode and pops up behind shotguns a JPE and does more damage to me in 2 shots than he does to it. Also kills my gunner, double tracks me, and knocks off a decent chunk of my hit points, about 300, 400 hit points, which is more damage than he did to the other guy. Now, I've got heat loaded here, I think because I'm got fat fingered when I went to go hit my med kit. Didn't notice it. For somebody with fingers as thin as mine to fat finger something is quite an achievement. I'm not sure how I did it. Actually, I may have gone to repair, use my repair kit on something. Either way, I decided I don't really give a fuck about turning blue on test, so I just chase that guy down and pop him. And then he wonders why at the end. It's exactly the kind of shit party players on NA pull. Actually, I was playing just yesterday on the live server with a friend, and I got to watch the enemy Artie shotgun his own teammate to try and kill our last tank, which he had plenty of opportunities to shoot at before, but he deliberately held his shot until it was pushed up against the back of his teammate who was in a JT, so he could try and splash this medium to death. Unfortunately for him, the shell landed between them, but more towards the JT side, and so he ate the majority of the splash. The other things I've seen are actually Artie putting shots into friendly tanks, and of course if an Artie shell full pans a tank, it doesn't splash, it just focuses all its damage on that one tank. And so if they do that, they don't even damage the tank that they were trying to hit. I mean, there are situations where I will take Artie shots at tanks that are close together, especially my 304, because I am confident in the 304's accuracy. But in a high tier Artie where you have that much margin of error, particularly when it's a situation where you could quite easily kill your last non-Artie teammate, which would be basically fucking yourself out of a win there. They do it so much, and it's just not worth the risk, but it happens all the time. I mean, I'm kind of more lenient with good players doing it, because I understand there are times when good players just have to throw puppies out to the wolves to enable them to carry games. I do it all the time. I'll deliberately hide behind people to get them shot at. I have occasionally pushed people around corners, but usually only if they've been doing it to me or trying to hide behind me when I'm one shot. And regularly I cut in front of people to try and get shots I know that they aren't going to be able to hit or aren't going to pan. But like I said, I mean, if it was a good player, a good Artie player doing it, I would understand, but it wasn't. It was some complete shitter I'd never heard of before, and so it was just greedy and shitty, and it really irritates me when they do that. A lot of Artie players try and defend that, but honestly, unless you are actually a good player, you can't validate that kind of behavior. It's just greedy shittiness, which is the kind of thing a lot of Artie players, pubby Artie players I should say, seem to engage in. They will shoot at anything that they think they can get damage on. Quite often they'll aim for the lowest tier tank in the match, just because they know they can easily pen it and kill it. They will aim at tanks that aren't the ones they need to kill to win the game, just because they know they're easier damage. I mean, there could be a T-95 spotted on the far side of the map, not doing anything. He could be hiding in the back, not even firing his gun. He could be AFK, and the Artie will focus him instead of the E100 or Foch or whatever pushing through. I mean, the excuses they come out with as well are pretty impressive. But that's enough of my anti-Artie screed. I don't mind good players in Artie, so anyone who actually knows what they're doing and plays Artie and is going, oh hey, well I shoot at teammates that are butted up against people sometimes, yeah, don't worry, I understand, that's fine. But if you aren't part of the blue club, at least, you should not be firing at teammates, or not at targets that teammates are pressed right up against. It's bad manners. And if you're that bad, more often you'll miss and hit your teammates than not. Anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks for putting up with my little rant. I had to tell somebody. There are a couple more matches from the first iteration to get up, and then I may or may not have some upload from the second iteration. I had a quick look at the patch notes for it, and they actually buffed the T-54 lightweight. They gave it another 10 kilometers an hour top speed. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to make it worth playing. As I noted in my video about that tank, and I think one of my others, it's not worth it at the moment. The T-54 does everything it does better, except for hide. But we'll have to see. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be enough, but who knows, we might be pleasantly surprised.